want you to meet Trevor. This is Trevor. He is the voice in my head that frightens me, makes me do silly things while trading, makes me afraid certain things will happen. Basically, the fear voice in my head that makes me do bad things while I trade, make bad decisions, move stops, reduce size, not sort of trust what I should be trusting. And actually, it reminds me of a saying that I heard recently, which is, great traders are optimistic when they're green and pessimistic when they're red, and fearful traders are pessimistic when they're green and optimistic when they're red. And that's Trevor, right? Like, Trevor is going to be only happy if he's buying lower dips and wanting price to go lower so he can get in lower, instead of being excited about something that's moving upwards. Trevor is going to be afraid when he's in profit. He's going to be afraid that the paper profits that we're seeing are going to disappear, and he's going to want to take position off. He's going to want to reduce size. Every time there's a push up, he wants to reduce size, and he doesn't want to hold on for the bigger move. And so he's the enemy. He's absolutely 100% the enemy, and he lives in my head, and I have to live with him every day, and he sucks. And so this trade and others, you're going to see today how Trevor affected me. And so let's get into this. So FSLY has been an insane mover since earnings. It was riding, many times it was riding the 4-hour EMA 12 on a lot of these runs, and I never got in on any of it. I've never traded FSLY until today. I've been wanting to, and every single time he got to the daily EMA 12, I was too afraid and thought it was going to roll over, and then it didn't. And so today, when it touched the daily EMA 12, and I got an alert from my indicator that it was time to take this trade, I was super excited until I looked at the price action. Okay, so right off the open, it was pretty choppy action down here. So I'll zoom out a little bit just so you can see. So this green area, red area, blue line, and this green line here are my daily rider level. And you'll notice that from the close of yesterday, there's a dotted line here, and the shaded area does not continue into this zone. That's because it's a daily rider, right? So the last daily time frame point that we had was the close of prior day right here, right? And the daily time frame does not use extended trading hours, so that's why it closes right here at the end of the trading day. And then we won't know where this is going to be until, like, where it's going to close today, until the end of this trading day. So I don't have a way of plotting that value out into the future. That also means that when I'm trying to fire an alert at this level up here, I don't know where that level is going to be because we don't have any data over here for it to extend off of. So I've written a ton of code to basically guesstimate where that level will be, and you see that's what this green line is here. So that guesstimation level is my quote-unquote alert level, and when it hit that level this morning, it triggered my alert, let me know that FSLY was coming in to a spot where I should be interested. I zoom in and I can see, okay, there's the alert level, it hit that. I see the dotted line here. That's where, if price just continues on the trajectory it's been on, that's roughly the way that the daily EMA 12 is going to go. And so that's what I'm looking at as I'm trying to figure out where I should get involved. So I'm always aware when I get a trigger entry, when like that green line gets crossed, that it could go lower than that. It could come all the way to this blue line, dotted line. It could come all the way down to this red area. So I don't know exactly where I need to get long. I don't just buy as soon as it triggers. I need to figure out where I'm going to buy, okay? So here we are. Off the open, move up, move down. Choppy as hell. Look at all the wicks in here on this thing. And the blue line here is the current time frames, so in this case the 1 minute time frames, EMA 12. And I often use that as a guide to figure out, what are we going to be doing here? Where should we be getting, like, what is the trend that we're establishing on the morning? And at this point, right down here where we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes into the day, no trend established. We haven't even determined an opening range yet. And so I'm aware that this one up here could be the top opening range, like the high. We may have just set the low opening range, but we're currently riding this 1 minute EMA 12 down. And if we can't get above that 1 minute EMA 12, then this could just keep going lower. And this might not be the opening range. It might go lower and then come back up. So I don't know. I don't really know what to do here. We have a low, we have a lower high, we have 2 inside bars. I'm not sure what to do, and I'm just watching. And then this candle happens. And when that candle happens, I'm like, oh snap, okay. That might be the low, right? And we might have just broken this 1 minute downtrend. Well, we did just break the 1 minute downtrend by pushing this candle up here, but that doesn't mean that we've even determined an opening range, because a lot of the time the opening range could be a 2 minute opening range or a 5 minute opening range, depending on what's happening with price. And lately the market has been so choppy, yesterday being a great example of that. On Monday, the market had the tiniest range it's had in weeks or months. It's crazy. So I'm aware that this could just chop around in here, and I'm trying to figure out how I should get positioned. So let me turn my drawings back on, and I'll show you what I did. As soon as these two inside bars broke bull, I bought. And that was the best entry I could get. I just market bought, and I got 22.53, and my stop had to go below this low here that was set for the day. And so at that point, I'm aware, if I get out my fancy schmancy drawing tool here, my GAN tool, that from this low to my entry is there, and then this orange line here, I'll just make it a darker color so you can see it better. I'll make it black. That didn't come out very black, but there it is. I need to get to that level to get risk-free. At that level, I can sell half, and then I'm covered with my stop below low of day. This is also 6 minutes into the trading day. It's my first trade of the day. I was sick yesterday. I'm not sure I'm 100% yet today at that time, so I was like, oh, I really shouldn't be sizing up here. I just don't know if this is a good spot. We didn't even get to the daily EMA 12. We didn't get into anything down there. Like, this isn't the kind of trade that looks great to my eyes, right? It was super choppy. I'm buying here, and I have very low belief that this is actually going to work at that point. And so I put my risk really small. And when it came up here and got to my risk off level, you can see I drew a line there. That's basically where I sold some, which was 23.09, I think was the price, yeah. And so 23.09, I take half off, and now my tiny position is risk-free, but it's even tinier. And so at that point, I'm like, okay, cool, let's see what this thing can do. I start zooming out as we get further into the day. I'm gonna remove this here so you don't have to see I'll get rid of some of the drawings, right? And so we set a high. We set a higher low against the 2 minute EMA 12, and that has me excited. Okay, cool. I'm thinking this thing could keep going. And then it just can't push up. And as soon as it breaks this tiny little stair step down, I'm like, oh, shoot. So we're losing the 2 minute EMA 12. That's not good. If we get into a 2 minute downtrend, then we'll probably just drift down lower. And I'm looking at the little bit of profit that I've already booked on the day, thinking I should probably try to, this is Trevor, right? He's fearful. We're green, and he's thinking, uh-oh, we better protect. So we get a lower low, then we get a lower high, and we come in for a lower low. At that point, I'm also looking, this purple line here is yesterday low of day. And so I'm like, oh, if we can't hold yesterday low of day, then it's over. And so I put a stop below yesterday low of day, below this lower low, and I'm like, if that goes lower, I'm just gonna take my little bit of profit from here to here that's left over and book it and call it a day. We break that. It immediately bounces up. Then an inside bar, then a bullish move. So I'm stopped out. I don't have a position anymore. My risk-free stop to low of day is gone. And my position was really small to begin with. And at this point, I'm like, oh, snap, we are going to hold yesterday's low. Okay, cool. So I want to see, are we going to get a little 2 minute higher low here? What's going to happen? And so as soon as it broke up here and I noticed it was going, I was like, I should just buy it, and I should put my stop down here. So as quickly as I could, I got my new order in, and this time I sized up. And because now I'm seeing something that actually has me excited. Like, for Trevor was all fearful here, and then I'm like, oh, Trevor got me out, he sucks. Now I got to do what's right. It's showing me that it's bouncing at low of yesterday. I think this thing has legs to go. If it holds here and pushes up, that's really just like, what, a 5 minute higher low, 15 minute higher low? Let's see, it was, yeah, 5 minute higher low, right? And so we could push up and keep going. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I size up. This is now a trade that is probably about 5 times as big as my initial trade. I'll have to look at the numbers to see, but yeah, much larger. And now I'm really like, okay, screw that Trevor guy. I'm in this thing now. Let's see what this thing can do. And I did get risk-free. I'm not gonna tell falsehoods here. Let me just go check what the numbers were. Okay, so we get this move up. It hit my risk-free level, and and then started pulling back. And I did not manage to get my risk off there. So I'm sitting through this little consolidation, gets up here and pulls back again. I didn't manage to get it again because these wicks happened very quickly. And so I'm looking at, sorry, I drew this while the thing was paused, but basically I know that my stop's got to be down here. I know that my entry is right there. And so my risk-free level is right up here at like 23.16. And this is fearful Trevor, wanting to get risk-free, not wanting to give it legs and just let it go. He wants to get risk-free, especially because now I've sized up. I've got a much larger position. And so he gets a little scared when it fails once, twice, 3 times. And instead of recognizing that this is basically a nice little consolidation with an uptrending moving average and a flat top, sells a portion right here. Too afraid, can't handle it. 23.12 sells his half. When it pushes up again and gets up to the actual level at 23.16, sells a tiny extra slice. So now he's fully risk-free to that level. And from that point, he lets it roll. And I'm like, I'm saying he lets it roll because clearly I was not in control. Trevor was in control there, which really sucks. Like, Mark's in control on the entry. Trevor takes control once we're in. And this is a pattern I've really got to, I'm struggling with. I think every trader probably struggles with this stupid voice in their head. Some more than others, me definitely more than most. And so that sucks, but either way, so I've had one winning trade on this name. A second winning trade on this name, and this time with much larger size. And we're waiting to see what happens. It gets up to the level where it had high of day before. And when it gets up here, I'm realizing that if I go out to a larger time frame, the most likely scenario as we're pushing up here is a 4-hour lower high. Just like by the numbers, like we had this peak, we came back in, the size of the retracement means that the 4-hour lower high is most likely, and we're coming up against the 4-hour EMA 12. And so at that point I'm like, oh, snap. Let me just look at this again on the 5. Okay, so we've got this purple line here is the 4-hour EMA 12. It's coming into where I'm at. And this thing is chopping. It's not really showing volume in moves. And I've never traded this name before. I don't know how it moves. I'm not familiar with this volume looks really spiky to me. I don't really understand it. It's kind of weird. And I'm looking at the R-vol, which is low. The R-vol on my move up is like half of a regular. So this is all stuff that Trevor's looking at going, okay, strike against, 4-hour lower high most likely, strike against you. Declining 4-hour EMA 12, strike against you. Relative volume, half of what it has been in recent days, strike against you. And it's choppy. And you're coming up to the level where you had your high of day and it breaks through and immediately comes back over. And so at that point, Trevor sells half of what's left, takes over again. And then price completely rolls over and sets this low, sets a lower high, comes in lower. And at that point, Trevor had moved his stop to, let me get rid of some of these drawings, it's getting annoying. Right here, this 23 level. So it comes in here, holds 23 and bounces, and then Trevor moved the stop up to there. When we roll over here, it stops me out. Now, this was a good trade. Because I was in bigger size, it was a very profitable trade. However, look what's happening to FSLY now. Right? I got in, my stop was down here, right? I didn't need to sell here. I was in profit when I sold here. And the reason, backing out, the whole reason I was in this trade in the first place was because it's a daily rider. So all that crap, all that stupid stuff that this voice in my head was saying is just brutal and shaking me out of a really good position. Because the reality is that, and at that larger size, which by the way, it never would have hit my stop. If I hadn't moved that stop, it never would have hit it. And at that larger size, this would have been a really big trade for me. So really disappointed in this win. I put it in my finished wins question mark area because was it a win? I feel like I failed on this trade. It's like, yes, I made money. Yes, I made money, but it was a failure on many, many levels. And so really disappointed in my execution on this thing, and I need to do better. And I know this, and like, it's really difficult for me to recognize like when Trevor actually makes a good argument. Like all those strikes against me that Trevor was giving me right here, those were all legit things. Like everything actually made sense from a technical perspective. 4-hour lower high most likely into 4-hour EMA 12, showing weakness on the tape. The market is choppy overall. These are all reasons why I was listening to that voice. But the most important voice is the higher time frame voice. This is the time frame that matters. This is the reason I was in the trade. Everything happening underneath is nonsense. It's just like I should never listen to the smaller time frame action. It doesn't matter. I use it to get an entry, but once I'm entered and I'm risk free, I should be zoomed out. Like I gotta respect the time frame that the trade is happening on, not the one that I got my entry on. And so that's like the big lesson here. I feel like if there's any way that I can get away from listening to that voice, it's this. It's like once I'm in the trade, I have my risk-free stop, I cannot look at the smaller time frame of the chart anymore. I have to zoom out and only look at this one. Because on this time frame, it would have looked pretty damn good. And I would have just had to sit through some stuff and just like let it be. Because on this time frame, what I'm looking for is fresh highs, right? And I should be in that trade, but I'm not. Okay, this trade review is much longer than I planned on it being, so I'm going to stop it there. I'm not even going to get into the other ones. I'll just say that they were both uneventful trades that had more of the same type of stuff, where Trevor is getting involved and making me make poor decisions. But no losses, just like a small win on IGV, and RKLB I got a loss, but it was tiny and negligible compared to the win that I got on FSLY today. So anyway, ending the day green and sad about it. There you go.